Hello darlings, and welcome to another Bedroom Guru with me, Nikki Allen. Today is the second stage that I want to talk about of grieving in the module, which is pain and guilt. And this can hold you for many, many years, and so it really is very healthy to try and deal with this as soon as you can. I would say the most common guilt that I connect with are suicides and terminations. They're the ones that I tend to have people writing about and are held in this trauma for all their lives, which is such a shame. I am going to implement a bit of spirituality into this part of the program, in that when you have a termination, there is always a reason for it. It isn't just something that you just don't think of and you can't be bothered to have the baby. There's obviously major issues going on that it's not right to have that child. And what you've got to look at spiritually is that this agreement has been made before you even come down here. So that soul that has to go back home agreed this before you even come down, and so did you. So it's the only part of spirituality I want to implement into this part of the grieving process. And so we need to lose that guilt. You made the decision, it's done. There is absolutely nothing you can do to change it. Okay, and so if you do have issues with this and it goes on and on, month after month after month, because you make the decision and then suddenly you realise that you're grieving a loss. That's what happens in respect to terminations, and so you then go through the grieving process even though you made the decision. And again, if it goes on for months or months, you may need to get help with that. It's exactly the same with suicides. Why didn't I know they were going to do it? Oh my God, I was totally there with my ex-brother-in-law. I sensed there was something wrong. I kept pushing my partner for us to go and get him. And I just knew that something wasn't right, that something bad was going to happen. And he told me, just chill out, we'll go and pick him up the following morning. And he killed himself that night. And the guilt that I held for that was horrific. Exactly the same with my mum. I had a huge ME relapse. I also had a chest infection and a throat infection. I was very ill. They did advise me not to go up anyway because my mum couldn't breathe very well. But she passed before I could get to her. And I hadn't been able to see her for 4 or 5 days before. And this is again another big guilt problem, is that you wish that you'd gone to see your loved one before, or you'd put it off too long, or you weren't there when they passed, and you could have done something about it. So let's go back to the suicide one first of all. With suicide, from my experience through police and through me being a medium and listening to spirit people that have gone over to the spirit world, they wanted to do this most of the time. A very high percentage have had enough and they've gone home. Again, another part of soul contract. And even if you did stop them that time, and this is the piece that I came with my ex-brother-in-law, was that he would have done it again even if I had stopped him or we'd got to him then. It's only a matter of time. These people that have got the courage to take it one step further and take themselves over, especially if it's a mental health issue that that leads to it. It doesn't matter how many times you say them, they will continue to find a way to do it because they just don't want to be here. They do not want to be here. And so don't take what they've done, don't take their actions of deciding to go home upon yourself. And I know that's really, really hard to get rid of, right? Why didn't I know? Why didn't I go there? Why didn't I pick him up? Why didn't he live here? I should have known. I'm his mother. Whatever it is, okay, that is one of the biggest things that's going to hit you, is the guilt of allowing that person to take themselves over. Exactly the same as when, why wasn't I there? I should have picked mum up. I should have gone to dinner that day because I would have seen her. And it's just every single thing that's happened to do with a passing, you will plonk it on yourself. It's totally natural, okay? And so again, just acknowledge it. Hopefully by me imparting these feelings that you may experience, you're going to recognize them when it happens to you, or if it's happening to you now, think that this is a natural process. This is a natural part of me healing from this abhorrent event that's taken place, okay? And so know that you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. Also, there's another one, which is survivor's guilt. You could be in a road accident in a car of people and you're the one that survives and the other person doesn't, or the others pass and you don't. And it's the guilt of you surviving and them obviously going over why you were left. And you feel guilty for surviving. It was an accident. Do you know what I mean? But again, there are so many illogical things that take place during this time that you take the responsibility for their passing. And I'll tell you now, from a spiritual point of view, in respect of the guilt process of you not being there for them when they pass, or you just popped out for a coffee, or, you know, same as me, I had a cold or whatever. The times I've heard from spirit people, I didn't want them to see me pass. I didn't want them to see me take my last breath. I wanted to do this on my own. They've all got their spirit people around them who are there, and they're like, right, I'm going up. It's almost like, do you know when you're on holiday, right, and you're like, oh my God, I've got 3 more days, got 2 more days, and you really don't want to go home, and you're like counting the days down, and it's almost like this, and my God, don't want to die, don't want to die. And you may get that feeling. You may even get people say to you, I don't want to die, I want to survive, and they kind of don't want to do it. And then then you come to, D-Day, when you've got to go home and you've got everything packed, and once that suitcase is packed, right, you just want to get home, don't you? You think, shit, I've got to do the airport, I've got to do all this. You just want to get home. It's exactly the same for a person that's going through the transitional phase of physical life to spiritual life. They know it's that day, they know their suitcase is packed, and they don't want to do nothing but go home, okay? They've got all their spirit people around them, they know where they're going, they know they're going to be safe despite the human fear before, and they're off and they're up. And so they do pick the times, and so many people say, I can't believe it, I was with him the whole day, I went out for a wee and he died, I went out for a coffee and she died, right? It's because they don't want you to go through the trauma of watching the last bit of life go from them. And even though I'm telling you this, when I got to my mum, the guilt that racked through me, oh my God, the guilt, Jesus Christ, it was horrific. Because I thought, my God, she spent the last 4 days of her life, 5 days of her life alone, just because I couldn't be asked to come around it. I had a bloody huge throat and chest infection. I was wiped out with my ME, and the doctor said, don't come up, because we do not want someone up here spreading lurgy to all our patients, because they're all got problems with their chest. But that's eradicated. You don't listen to that bit. You listen to that I should have been here holding my mum's hand when she passed. I should have been here the last few days when she must have been scared knowing she was going to pass. I had all of that going on for months and months and months. And I'm not going to lie, it's been 3 years, and now and then I get a tinge of it, but I honour it and I look at it and I think, no, Nick, come on. And then I kind of use my mindfulness to talk myself out of it, or write it out in my soul journal. And I will tell you that I'm going to give you tools at the end of this process, after the module's been explained, on how to cope spiritually and physically to deal with all of that I'm talking about. So, I'm not just going to acknowledge what you're going through. I'm going to give you stuff to help you at the end of it. So that's what guilt is, right? It's just illogical. You take everything on your own shoulders, and that's really going to be there for a while. As I say, some people hold it for years, depending on what sort of passing it is and what sort of part you played in it, if you like. And again, it's another thing to honour it, know that it's part of the grieving process, but if it still carries on month after month and you're in complete torment, then perhaps it's time to work through the process with a bereavement counsellor or other form of help. The other thing that then starts is, once you've acknowledged that your person has passed, as we discussed last time with the denial phase of this phenomena of grieving, we then get the physical pain, and this is where we talk about broken heart. Again, kind of on a spiritual level, our heart chakra. I can't even bleed talk. I'm gonna have to put the gin out. The heart chakra is obviously the centre of our emotional pain, and I know I've felt it before. It's like that ache in your heart, the pain in your heart area, and it's all the stress and the pain and the physical realisation that they have died. You're not going to see them alive again. And the pain is excruciating, isn't it? I kind of remember with things that I've done, I remember holding my chest and just rocking, so I'm like, for Christ's sake, get rid of it. Again, I'll give you tools on how to get rid of it later on. But know that you're not going to have a heart attack most of the time. My God, don't not go to the doctors if you think you are. But you are going to experience physical pain that manifests through realizing that your loved one has passed. Okay, so as soon as you get past that denial process, it's going to hit you like a train, mentally, emotionally, and this physical pain. Again, if it gets too much or the anxiety gets too much, then it's best to go and see your doctor, your GP. But again, it's something that's going to sit like a lump in your chest and your throat for quite a long time. So again, it's another acknowledgement that you're going through the next stage of grieving. Okay, it's a natural part of the process of knowing that they've passed and that you've got to try and move on or exist in some way, shape or form. Sometimes you can zip forward very quickly into the next phase. Okay, you can zip forward very quickly to anger and to bargaining, which we're going to discuss in the next session. So you can get a mixture of all of it at once, which I'll discuss again in the next session. But this pain is something that can be alleviated with certain things, Bach's flower remedies, anything for anxiety, which I'll again tell you about in the end. But what I will say to you is that, you know, you've just got to be kind to yourself, and you've just got to ride it through at the moment, you know, and that physical pain is going to stay there for a while. And it's the same as anything. You break your leg, you've got a plaster on, you're going to be in discomfort for a while. And this is exactly the same as what's going to happen with this physical pain. And so all I can say is take it a day at a time and try anything you can to distract yourself from thinking about the passing, thinking about the person or pet. And trying to alleviate this pressure. Gentle exercise, getting yourself out is going to help. And so that's the next stage of your grieving, okay? So I've helped you to identify that next stage so that when you get it, or if you've got it now, you recognise it's totally natural. There's nothing wrong with you. It's exactly what you should be doing. I know, and it sounds really weird beating yourself up. Some of you may not have any guilt at all, and that's bloody brilliant. You might just jump. You know, remember, this isn't textbook. This is what happens. You can jump forward, backwards, anytime you want. This is just acknowledging this is another phase that will naturally jump in, especially on the scenarios that I've just described to you. Okay, so again, hang on in there, keep going, day at a time, lean on the people that are brilliant support for you, the rocks in your life, and know that this will pass. You've just got to hold on at the moment and wait for it to leave you. Okay, so keep strong, and I'll speak to you again very soon on this subject for phase 3. Okay, which is anger and bargaining. Take care till then. I'll speak to you very soon.